Hello.
Good morning. Hello. Hey,
Good morning.
Julia.
Hi, how are
Hey,
you?
Jen. We're just 3 so far, so I don't know how many people are going to actually hop on and join us. I think we had registered maybe about 14 people. Um, you know how it goes with these things. I'm just checking. I'm just checking the event to see how many people registered. Yeah, 14 people said yes, 3 people said maybe. I tried to remind everybody, but
Yeah.
I don't know how many people will actually show up.
Whoever shows up, it's the person that
It's who's supposed to be here. Hey, Jen. Hey, Marianne.
Hi.
So, guys, give me some feedback here. I am strongly getting the sense that this is a private conversation, and so I am recording, and I will send the replay out to all of you. But I'm not going to stream it live in our Facebook group. Do you guys feel that, or is it just me? Yeah. Okay. All right.
You can always post it if you decide to. If you really like how it goes, you just post it instead of streaming.
Yes. I think you are right. I agree with you. If it feels like it's something that we need to make sure that everybody is having access to, then we can always share it that way.
I am a little hesitant with sharing very genuine, personal stuff with the general public.
Yes, I feel that way too. So I get that. Jen, why did you think it was a good idea to join this conversation? Just curious.
I like readings. And I feel like I've been going so long that this is like a little mini thing for me, mini self-care thing for me. So
Yeah,
and
that's
of course I
fair.
support you all.
Awesome. And Marianne, how about you?
Always trying to listen and learn, and anything to help me grow is a plus.
I feel that same way. Hey, Wendy Lee, how are you, my friend? Welcome.
Hi, everybody.
Feel free to bring yourself on camera. We're just having a little bit of a conversation before we actually get started. And I was just asking everybody, why did this seem like it was a good conversation for you to join? Why did you decide that you wanted to come hang out with us today?
Because I cannot.
That's fair.
We have to have these conversations. And I love it when the hearts of these kinds of groups, you cultivate such a conscious group, Davia, that I love being a part of your stuff.
So it seems like quite a few people are joining. Liz is on the call. Hey, Liz. I invited a couple of people who I really, truly respect their opinion. I was on Liz's call a few days ago, and she was talking about conversation and just how we have an opportunity to, instead of having 2 monologues going, we have an opportunity to actually have some dialogue. And this is a wonderful opportunity, I think. And when she said that, I was like, mind blown, because we are talking at each other so much.
Yes.
And everybody's trying to be right. And when everybody's trying to be right, nobody's right. And nobody's listening. So that's why there are a couple of people that I invited on the call that I think that maybe we can all, me especially, learn a lot from. And I'm really looking forward to all y'all getting to know Julia a little bit better. I'm looking forward to all y'all hearing Liz's perspective. I have a very good friend. She hasn't joined us yet. I'm really, really hoping that she'll be able to make it because she's on West Coast time. But she is a new member to our group, but she's part of a mastermind that I'm a part of. And she's a gay woman in America. And, you know, she's just gonna be on here sharing her perspective. And I think that's really important too. I think with all that's going on, we've kind of forgotten that it's Pride Month, and so wanted to spend some time honoring that as well. And basically just honoring everybody. And I like what you're saying, Wendy Lee, more listening and less positioning. I love that. That is so brilliant. I pulled a card this morning. So when Marianne is an amazing law of attraction coach, and I felt maybe a little bit not up to the task of having this conversation this morning. So guess who I called? I called Marianne, and we pulled this card, and it says, I intend to see the best in everyone. And I just feel like that was the best card.
Mm-hmm.
That was the best card that I could have pulled for today. And so I am inviting us that while we're having this discussion, that we really embrace seeing the best in everyone, even the people that we feel like we can't possibly see the best in, to really give them some grace and also some compassion and love, maybe. I don't know. Liz, I am going to make you a co-host. Is that okay?
Fine by me.
And then I am going to lead us in a really quick meditation just to get us kind of mentally prepared for this conversation. But while I'm doing the meditation, if you see people trying to get into the room, I would invite you to just let them in, because I cannot be the meditation and also be the letter inner.
Get it together. Come on.
I know. What is wrong with me? How dare I? Awesome.
I got you, girl. I got you.
Thank you. I appreciate
I'll be the
it.
bouncer.
Can I just throw one thing in real quick, Dr.?
Sure.
In talking about, you know, seeing people like that, seeing people through the eyes of Source kind of thing, we have to remember, I think the thing that jerks a knot in my tail fastest and gets my attention the most is when I remember Source loves us all unconditionally. Even those people we're disagreeing with or have an issue with, you know, Source loves them unconditionally as much as Source loves me unconditionally. That will put me in my place really quick.
That's something to always remember. And it's kind of leading on to the discussion that you and I were having this morning about some of the people that I admire, which if I say those things, people look at me like, what? But there's, you know, there's an opportunity to really see the best in everyone. So there's that. Kimmy, oh my gosh, thank you for joining us. Guys, meet Kimmy. She's my very, very dear friend. And I'm just so happy she's joining us today. And I invite us, I think we're all here because we said we were going to be 14 and we're 16. So hey. I invite us to, let's just take a minute and get centered and set an intention around our call for today for the highest good that is possible. I invite you to, if it feels right for you and if you're not Liz, to go ahead and close your eyes and just imagine that you are walking to the door of whatever room you're in, and you're opening that door and you're walking out. And when you walk out, when you open that door, what's in front of you is the most beautiful body of water that you've ever seen. It could be a beach, it could be the lake, it could be at the top of a mountain, whatever it is that is beautiful to you and brings you joy. I just want you to imagine that you're in that place. And then I'm going to invite you to imagine that you're stripping off all your clothing, taking off everything that is not serving you in this moment, and just walking into this body of water that is welcoming you with great, great, beautiful light and energy. And it's a very still body of water, but it's glistening with energy and love and abundance and everything that we're all wanting and reaching for in our lives. And just walk into this body of water and let it come all the way up to your waist. Let it envelope you, let it cover you, and just feel the energy of this water cleansing and purifying us, penetrating and dissolving all the worry and the stress and the fear that might have built up in our root chakra, and feel that energy moving up to our sacral chakra, clearing out all the need to do's and the must do's and the have to do's and the deadlines and the pressure. Just feel it all dissolve away and melt away and be washed away and cleansed by this beautiful body of water, this beautiful water energy that is available to clear and cleanse and make way for the new. And take a deep breath in, hold it, and just gently exhale as you feel the energy of this beautiful water making its way up to your soul center, to your solar plexus. And it's taking away everything that you do not need, everything that no longer serves you. It's melting away all the feelings of not enoughness, all the feelings of hurt that we might be carrying around with us from past encounters. Just feel all of that go away and be absorbed and dissolved and washed and cleansed by this beautiful body of water. And feel the energy moving into our emotion center and our health center, and feel the energy of perfect health and amazing fun emotions flowing into our bodies as that energy moves up to our heart center. Feel the love both for ourselves and for every other point of light on this planet. Just feel it embracing our hearts and cleansing and making way for all the new beautiful love energy to flow into and out of us. Feel the energy of this beautiful cleansing water moving up to your throat chakra. Anything that's been holding you back from speaking your truth, for really, really taking a position and making your stand known, feel that melt away. And then your ajna, your third eye, as well as your crown, feel those being cleansed and purified and making way for connections with the divine, connections to intuition, connections to next steps, connections to knowing exactly where to place your foot every single time. And then take a deep breath in, just hold it, and now exhale. And as you exhale, feel this beautiful water energy just fading away from your body, going right back into the body of water that you at first envisioned. Feel it all flowing out of you, taking with it everything that no longer serves you, everything that you no longer need to hold on to. And just turn around, walk right out of this body of water and look up to the sky and feel the energy of love flowing into your body, into your heart, covering you, enveloping you. And it's so much love that you have to let some of it out. You have to open your heart and let it flow out and cover the whole earth. Feel the love from your heart just touching every point of light out there in the universe. And then also feel the love energy coming in towards your heart from the universe, from the whole world, from every person on this planet. And take a deep breath in and hold and gently exhale and just sit with it for a minute. Let it percolate. Feel what that energy of love feels like. And then walk right back to your doorway that's waiting for you. Head back into your room. Take a seat again in your chair when it feels right for you. With all your connections still in place, the love energy coming from the world, your love energy going out to the world, and the love of Source pouring into you. When it feels right for you, just open your eyes and we can be present with each other again. So welcome, friends. I hope that was beneficial for everybody. I'd like to take this opportunity to invite Julia to just share with us a little bit about what her thoughts are about why we have to raise the vibration of the conversations that we're having. I know there's a lot that's going on in the world right now, from murder hornets to floods to protest and unrest to COVID-19. It's the best of times and it's the worst of times. And I just want to give Julia an opportunity to share with us why we have an opportunity to raise our vibrations in this moment. Julia.
Thank you. First of all, it was beautiful. Thank you so much for this outpour and inpour of love. It's so needed to each individual, I think, at least to me and to the whole world. I live in a world where consciousness is everything. So whatever is happening in the world right now, whether it's COVID-19 or it's the huge conflict, huge chaos between people, and it's not only between races, but also inside of the families. It's happening everywhere. The only way to change that is when collectively we elevate our consciousness. We're gonna exist in a different realm, different vibration. So all of that chaos has no place in it. I know it may sound idealistic, but just to bring it here home, our thoughts are energy. Probably in this group, most of the people would just say that too, right? Our thoughts are very powerful energy. Our words are even more powerful energy. And our words is something we cannot even take back. Once it's out, set in the world, it has a life of its own. You have no control over it. So the words that we say, the thoughts that we think, they support energy in the universe. And it could be the energy that destroys, and it could be the energy that builds, creates, loves. So right now, we are dealing with a lot of destroying energies just because people are very reactive. For whatever reason it's happening, there are deep roots that I personally think that whatever is going on the streets, like there are two very different realities. There are people who want to change the world for the better, so that we build the world that is world of equality. We build the world that is guided by the consciousness of compassion, of love, of unity. And there are people who just, create mess. They create pain. They destroy stores. They attack. So it's two completely different events happening at the same time. Plus, people are just so messed up with COVID-19, with the fears and staying home for so long. And all of that is happening at the same time, but those are not the same thing. Nevertheless, if we can start from separating it, from seeing a bigger picture of all of it, from elevating, like, how am I contributing, from asking the questions, how can I contribute to the positive of the world? Because each one of us matters. Each one of us, when we send energy out of universe, it goes either here or here. Like, it has different vibrations. So every single thing we say, think, and create right now is so important, so that we can communicate and not talk at each other. So that's different vibration. Like you said it, somebody said it so beautifully. Listening and less positioning. Different vibration, different conversation. If we are guided by the desire of we are one soul. If somebody in Minneapolis is killed, part of me is killed. We're one soul, we're one entity, and we just little things inside, like we are one entity. So if there is a crisis in Africa and brutality, part of me is killed, it is being brutalized, and is having, that's my problem. Whatever is happening in China, it's my problem. And so that's a different vibration, that's a different conversation. I can talk forever, please stop me. Because I don't want to take over. So I think, yeah, so.
I am muted, and so let's unmute me. So, you know, I think I love everything that you're saying, Julia, and I think the decision that we made to invite this conversation today was born out of a conversation that you and I were having about how those who are connected to Source are so powerful when it comes to bringing about change in the world. And I feel like you wouldn't be on this call if you weren't connected, if you weren't a positive human being in this world. You would have passed over this call in its entirety. And so the fact that you're here means that you are a positive voice for change in this world. But a positive voice for change doesn't mean that we have to get out there and beat people over the head with our ideas. It doesn't mean that we're here to even change anybody's heart or anybody's mind. It means that the energy that we're putting out into the world needs to be that pure positive energy, because when we're able to do that, then we can raise the vibration of the collective. And that's what I feel, and that's what Julia and I were in such great synchronicity on, and that's why we thought it would be such a fun idea to just bring positive people together and see what happens. So I want to invite into the conversation. Oh, sorry, Julia.
Guys, I think like this, I'm so sorry, just there's something very important, I believe, that I became conscious of just like recently. Again, it was a huge reminder for myself, because like I always say, like, that one big thing that I absolutely don't accept is racism, right? For me, all my life, like I just said it. And then I spoke with my teacher, with my spiritual teacher, and said, then how do you want the world to be? And I said, I want the world of equality. So when you say, I don't want racism, what does universe hear? Universe hears racism. When we say, what I do want, I am one of the people who is creating the world of the future, the world where my children, my grandchildren, and yours, and everybody's will be waking up knowing that they're equal and they're safe. The world of equality. We're not creating a world with no racism. We're creating a world of equality. Big difference, different vibration.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. And that's one of the reasons why, you guys know I am a chiropractor. Yes, you guys see me on Facebook running Ladies Lounge, and you think that this is my life, but I actually spend most of my day treating patients who have pain. And on our Saporito Chiropractic Facebook page, I have posted as the banner what we stand for in our practice. We stand for equality. We stand for unity. We stand for love, peace, justice, empathy, support, and community. Those are the things that we stand for. So you will not hear me saying, and I you know, it's gonna, what I'm about to say is probably gonna be problematic, but you probably won't hear me talking about racism. You will probably hear me talking about equality. And it's just choosing a different word that raises the vibration of the conversation, in my opinion. Does that make sense for you guys? Because that's what Julia and I were talking about, just raising the vibration of the conversation, maybe changing the words that we're using, maybe changing the way that we're speaking to each other. And in talking about the way that we're speaking to each other, may I invite Liz to unmute yourself, please, and just talk a little bit about the double monologue versus what a dialogue really, really is.
Yeah, I mean, and it's so like magnified in the world of social, where everyone can just hide behind their screens and the keyboards, you know, just saying whatever. And even those of us who are well-intended and we want to bring the positivity into the world, and we see someone saying all lives matter and we want to step in to correct them, that it's Black Lives Matters and those sort of things. So even when we're coming from the best, you know, most loving possible place, we are speaking at people. And when you're talking to someone, when you've not been invited to, that is sales energy, and it's gross. Nobody wants that. What we're trying to do is we're trying to say, you know, hear me, look at my point of view. You know, I have something meaningful to say. And what they're doing is they're saying yes and, or yes but, and I've got something meaningful to say. So we've got two monologues happening, but there's no connection. Two monologues do not equal a dialogue. I mean, it's just hands down that simple. So in order for a dialogue to happen, there needs to be exchange. There needs to be give and take, which means someone needs to be speaking, and it can't be us all the time, because when you're talking, you're not listening or learning. Someone needs to be listening and learning, but that can't be us all the time, because we're humans and we have ego and we need to talk. So where's the balance? So something I've started to do, if anyone has heard me talk in my sales trainings before, you've heard me talk about the 80-15-5 rule, which is 80% of any conversation is the other person talking. 15% of any conversation is you asking questions. Only 5% of any conversation is you talking. So how do we translate that formula into the social sphere that we have? Well, when you see something that you disagree with or someone's wrong, and pick your battles, ladies, you do not have to attend every party that you're invited to. Just because you see someone baiting you doesn't mean I'm going to go here. If you do that, you know the energy you're going in with and for, right? So just own that. But when we're scrolling and we get triggered or see something, what have you, if it's someone or something that you want to engage with, don't speak at them. Ask them a question. I've been doing this a lot lately, and it's not easy. Oh, I want to say the things. I want to say all the things and tell them why they're wrong and tag them in this and blah, blah, blah. Doesn't solve anything. Cleans up my list real fast, but it doesn't solve anything. So what I've been really challenging myself and others to do is that when it's, and choose wisely, someone or something that you actually do want to engage with, ask a question instead. And a really safe, inviting one is, would you be open to seeing this differently? And if they are, you better move that conversation into private chat. You do not do that out in the open. Do we criticize our kids in the middle of the room? I mean, sometimes yes, because we're humans and whatever. But like generally speaking, when someone does something wrong, you're like, I need to talk to you for a minute, right? And it's not to say that someone's doing something wrong. It's to say that, can you just give me a minute? Okay. Because I'm right. I'm waiting. Okay. Just hold on one second, guys. Hold on.
So I like that question. Would you be open to seeing this differently? I really like that question because right away it gives the other person an opportunity to make a decision. Do they even want to see this differently, or do they want to stay stuck in feeling the way that they feel about what they feel? You know, are they really interested in having a dialogue, or are they really trying to change your mind?
Right. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, it's when we need to have those kind of hard conversations. And when I say a hard conversation, typically we think of that as like a scolding or something. A hard conversation just means two people have to crack open a little bit of vulnerability, which is never something you want to do publicly. So the reason why I say, you know, ask the question on the thread, would you be open to seeing this differently? If they respond yes, you move it over into chat and you have the private conversation there. And that's where you start to engage in conversation. And ladies, you're smart, you're intuitive, you're connected, you get it. Feel the vibes, right? If the vibe is going down a I need to be right lane, gracefully bow out. No need, listen, 7 billion people, a whole lot of them need their minds changed. Don't preach to the wholly unconverted, okay? Like choose your battles. If you can move somebody like 1%, that's a hell of a lot better than the day started. So that's, I mean, it really just comes down to noticing when our ego is showing up, which is always rooted in a place of fear, and we confuse it with well-intended because we're right. But just notice when that ego creeps up and we need to talk more, and just pull back into the 80-15-5. What is a question I could ask instead? How could I say what I want to say in the form of a question? Would Alex Trebek allow it on Jeopardy? Right? So that's all I got to say about that. No, I mean, it's not, but I'll land it.
Thanks so much, Liz. Anybody have any comments about what Liz just said? Wendy.
Hi, everybody. There was something that came up for me in that question. Would you be open to seeing something different? Does that position an energy of that what you're saying is wrong? And would that shut down a conversation? And I'm just curious if there's another way to ask that question.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely does position it as, you know, I see something differently than you see, ergo, you know, AKA, you know, you could be wrong. Just like when, you know, I'm single doing the dating thing and people are like, oh my God, you're so amazing. Why are you single? Like the question, the QBQ, the question behind the question is what's wrong with you? So it's the same thing with, you know, would you be open to seeing this differently, AKA you're wrong and I want to exchange in dialogue. There might be another way to come across that. And if you come across it, write it out there, tag me in it, let me know. But what I've found as I've been using this are people are open to saying yes, because it's the real idiot that's going to be like, no, I'm right. And it's like, okay, how's that working for you?
Lynn. Oh, I'm sorry, Wendy.
Something was coming up around, I'm curious to know more about what you're talking about.
But you have to be in integrity with that, because are you really?
Well, it depends on how you're coming with your intention.
Yeah.
You're trying to come from an understanding of, tell me how you got to this place of this idea. Because I think sometimes with these conversations, what's happening is we're both coming from this spot, from whatever we have accumulated up until that vantage point.
Well, we're coming from a perspective of our differences, not our similarities. What I found in sales, and I'll speak to that because now it's moving over into the social injustice lane, but you know, in sales training, you need to take ownership and dominance of the conversation early and often. And when you position it to say, can you tell me more? You've given them the steering wheel, the brakes, the controls, everything. When you position it from a, would you be open to seeing things differently? You are in control of the conversation. So it's subtle, but it matters. It's important.
Go, Lynn.
In my experience, and I think Kimberly confirmed it well, when you're wording it as would you be open, most people are like, well, of course I want to be open. in a sense, unless they are the wrong person, because open is a positive word in most cases. It's, well, yeah, I want to be open. Of course I want to hear more. And it kind of usually, in most cases, lets their guard down a little bit and puts them in a situation where they're willing to hear a perspective.
You're 100% right. It's a disarming word, and we have to, it is so subtle.
And it is, you know, in sales training, yes, we've always been taught that. And Kimberly, when you said that, and I think it ties into what Wendy's saying too, it's not only not going to work with that person who is not going to be convinced. That person can say, nope, I'm good. Well, then next, like you said, next, I'm just somebody else.
Yep. I have found that having that one-on-one conversation offline is so beneficial, because you would be surprised. There are lots of people out there who are saying a lot of things on social media, but when you get them in that one-on-one setting, you start to realize that you have so much more in common, and that they actually do believe a lot of the same things that you believe, and that maybe the way that they've been wording it has been triggering, but that they might not even have realized that they're really down for the cause. So there's an opportunity, is what I'm saying. Is that fair?
And it comes down to understanding the nuances in the language. And it's just, it really comes down, if we can, rather than come at the conversation from our differences, having two monologues again, it's coming from, what if we're having the same conversation, but we're just speaking two different languages?
And I absolutely agree with that, Liz. And I also think it goes back to what Julia was saying earlier, that the words that we're choosing really do matter, and approaching it with positive vernacular as opposed to being against things is really the way to go. Julia.
So what I want to add to it, it's another thing that I've learned that is very important, that I wasn't so aware of, that the respect is the base in any relationships. Whether you know a person, you're just creating like this half 30 seconds relationships, or you are madly in love. The only way something is happening where everybody is listening is that there's mutual respect at the moment. So when you ask him permission, he's saying, I respect you. Yep. And if they know, I will not invade your space. So it's something that in my personal life, I just took in such a strong way. And I think it's very relevant for everybody in the world. Respect is the base for love, is the base for relationships.
I agree with that. And, you know, I have like a 14-point manifesto of my life. And point number 3 is I invite respectful discussion with people who invite me. So
we have to recognize that we always think we're being respectful, except for the times that we're not, like always. We always think we're being respectful, and it's them not. But it really is, I mean, what we are doing out there in the social space right now is we are having sales conversations 27,000 times a day, and we don't even recognize it. Because a sales conversation is just, I have an idea I want to get across to you, right? I want your buy-in. And whether it's a buy-in or whether it's a buy-in, it's a sales conversation. No one buys from a disempowered position. So the aim, first and foremost out of the gate, exactly what Julie's talking about, respect, empowerment. We need to make sure that the other person feels empowered to buy into the conversation, that they feel respected, that they feel heard. Otherwise, it's a sales pitch, it's a cold call, it's a spammy email. It's no different, guys. It's no different. And it actually is different, because when we're dealing with the social issues, everyone's guards are even further up. And when we're in this heightened state of the world that we're in, everyone's defenses are further up. So you've got much more resistance, and it's like now socially acceptable just to come at each other. So layer all that in, and it is harder to have these
I want
conversations.
to invite Leslie to join the conversation, because Leslie and I, we've been having really deep and meaningful conversations all along. And then with all of what's been happening, our conversations got even deeper and more meaningful. So can you weigh in, please, Leslie?
Hi. First of all, thanks everybody. This is sort of just like furthering along, Liz, what you said. Saw your post on Facebook about everyone's having like a monologue side by side, and I thought, oh, that was a good way to put it. I always think that, like, I feel like Facebook is like shouting. Everyone's just screaming out things. Like if I were in the street, I'd be shouting out like, I believe this. Like that's how I visualize the whole thing. And so like it just feels very noisy to me. That's the way I take it in. And I have this thing's hashtag is like scroll on by. Just scroll on by. Like if I feel like it's shouting, that's like what I always say to myself. Scroll on by. Don't take the bait. Just don't. So that's just a tip. Like for me, like I say to myself, I'm like, stop that, Leslie. Stop. Don't type. Like just don't do that. In terms of language, Wendy, you were talking about like, I think that's a good point that you raise, you know, in terms of like, is it like implied that you're saying like, I have a perspective, like, which is right or something along those lines. I mean, I think one, it really depends on the feeling behind it. Sometimes it's not the words, but it's the feeling. And so if there's a feeling behind it, like you're willing to have a conversation, then that sort of takes care of the whole situation. But another thing is, and one of the things that I'm learning to do, and I'm not always good at it, is listening without judgment, appreciating somebody, and just without commenting, without weighing in, without interrupting. Yeah. So a lot of it has to do with, and Lynn is learning a lot about this, is a course that I've taken, and I'm taking, called the Avatar course. And then there's a lot about appreciating somebody where they are without judgment. My attention's not on me, my attention's on the other person completely, right? That is like, it's not always easy to do because you can come back into your own head and start like having this conversation with yourself. When you're totally appreciating someone, you can listen to something that you don't agree with. So it's a skill that can be learned. I know last night I was having a conversation with a very old friend of mine, and honestly, like in the past few years, we are so opposed in so many ways now. It's like, I don't even know, like, I feel like she's not the same person anymore. And I was like, okay, Leslie, like that urge to kind of like correct her and whatever, I was like, stop it. Let her speak. Just let her speak. And so I let her speak, you know, and that was it. I don't agree with her at all. But I just said, like, that's how she feels. And she had a lot of good points too. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it was just, shut up to me. Just shut up, you know? And so that's just kind of the way I feel. Like, if you really care, maybe invite the person to speak instead of saying, you know, that's one way to do it. It says, can I tell you something? How about, do you want to have a conversation? I'd like to hear what you have to say, right? And then, are you willing to hear what I have to say too? And maybe start that way, because then you're really like, who can argue with that? No one, I think. That's just my personal opinion, but speaking without commenting. Anyway, so just a lot of thoughts about this whole thing, you know, and you're all raising great ideas.
I want to bring in Kimberly. Kimmy, can you unmute yourself, please?
Hello, my dear.
Hey, Kimmy. I'm so happy that you were able to make it. And I invite you to just share what your thoughts are.
As it pertains to what? What would you have a fence? Because we would be here for days if I shared all of my thoughts. Can you pick a bucket?
Well, you know, the trend of this conversation is just how to make sure that the conversations that we're having about the things that are meaningful to us are more positive in bends.
Well, I think for me, what comes up the most is that we don't really have a choice otherwise. the vibration that we're coming from with our conversations in this time are so vitally important, like beyond anything, it's vitally important that when we communicate with somebody, that where we're coming from is from a high vibrational place. And what has come up for me a lot is, I think, especially in the community, these communities that we're in, these conscious communities, I think a lot of times what happens is we end up in this place of spiritual saran wrap, for lack of a better word, right? So we think because we are having conscious conversations and things like that, and we're saying the right things, and we're maybe taking the right actions, we forget that one of the most vital pieces to this is that we have to do our own work, and we have to address our own microaggressions and our own racism and our own lack of anti-racism, because it's really easy for us to hide behind our spiritual conscious cape that a lot of us get to wear, and it has shielded a lot of us from having to do the work of tuning inward and facing our white privileges and things of that nature. And when you do that, when you are looking inward, I do feel that shame and guilt have no place in the conversation. And in order for shame and guilt not to creep in and overrun, we have to always make sure that we are tuning into that place of higher consciousness when we do that work. So that's kind of my feeling on that bucket, if that makes sense. And I can't, the names have, oh, there they are. Leslie, what Leslie was saying is that it is very interesting. I have found myself, for many years, I grew up in a very conservative household. I have always had, I've always leaned more on the conservative side of the political stance, for lack of a better way to think about it. And I have found myself, especially these days, in conversations more with people who tend to be on the conservative side. And what I have really found very interesting is, in a lot of the groups and a lot of the people that I tend to follow, some of them I'm more of like a spy. Like I kind of just troll the accounts, and just for my own human behavior standpoint, like trying to learn, why is it, where does this behavior come from? Because if we don't know where that behavior is coming from, then it's very hard for us to find a common place where we can even have a conversation, because we're so far apart, we're never going to come together. And what I have found very interesting is that there really is a lot of commonality between the two camps, right? Like when these guys, when the right speaks, they technically want the same thing, right? They want to, we'll break it down really easy. They want the establishment gone, right? Because the establishment has not worked for them, and it has not worked for a lot of people on the left either. The issue is, yes, they want to defund the police and things like that. However, they want to defund the police because they want to arm themselves. They're like, we're going to take this in our own hands, you know, and that's a little like, oh, well, that's probably not the best idea. But at the end of the day, they still want the same thing, right? But just a slightly different outcome. And so when we can learn these behaviors of where this comes from, and to me, everything stems from fear, right? When I talk to people that are Trump supporters, and that's a big blanket statement, right? So there's a lot of people that are Trump supporters that are completely ignorant, and they are so far outside of the conversation that there's not a lot of hope to bring them back, right? Now there is people in that camp that are maybe older, they have more fear responses, they are a little less conscious, but they're willing, you know. And that fear response, my most favorite thing is to ask them, you know, what is it, what scares you about not having police? Or what scares you you know, the police don't have guns. And I'm just always asking them, what is it about? What is it about that triggers that response for you? And it's really fascinating to listen to those people speak about where, why the fear drives their decisions, right? And it's just very fascinating to me. And so I feel like it's, there's so much to it, but it is, we can just pause for a minute and listen and pay attention to what people are saying. I think we can really learn a lot.
You're 100%. And I had to pipe in here because what I've found, so I talk about the 4 currencies and I boil it down to hard and soft currencies in sales training. Hard currency being time and money, soft currency being energy and people, the feelings, right? The hippies of us out there, as you a little bit. Exactly. Like all of us in some degree, like we all have all of the different currencies in us. But what I found has been really interesting, because I'm just doing my own research of where this comes up in the world, but looking at the political system as it's set up currently, Democrats, Republicans typically talk in soft currency. Republicans typically speak in hard currency. So when we go back to what I was saying earlier about 2 monologues trying to have a dialogue, they're literally saying in so many ways the same thing, but because they're speaking in 2 different currencies, they are not being heard. Right. So if we get, it's exactly what you're saying. And just, you know, to give a perfect example, the abortion debate, you're either pro-life or you're pro-choice. Sorry, 2 different conversations, because it would be pro-life or pro-death or pro-choice or anti-choice. So even the conversations are rooted in differences. So we can't come together. We're screaming at each other. So
I want to bring Deb into the conversation. Deb is amazing as far as her intuitive gifts go. And she and I have been having a conversation about how I tend to hide my intuitive gifts and what's happening as a result of that. But I invite you, Deb, to unmute yourself and just share how this conversation is hitting you.
Hey everyone, it's nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Hey Kimmy, I haven't seen you in so long, girl.
Very good to see you as well. Pleasure.
So just so everybody knows, Kimmy and I go back quite a few years. She did my photo shoot in DC that I use now in my marketing. So to this day, like she just captured my essence. So yeah, she's amazing. And I know a lot of you on this call, and some of you I don't know that well. This has been a really interesting time between COVID and then everything with Black Lives Matter. For me, it's been a lot of introspection. The whole COVID thing, I was all about, okay, let's really see what we're dealing with. Really just, okay, I'm gonna abide by the rules and let me, instead of listening to the television on what they wanna spoon feed me, I took it upon myself to detach from all my associations, really get centered with who I am as a spiritual being having this human experience, and take a look at what my intuition was calling me to. And that led to a lot of grassroots stuff where I was reading things in different, don't get me wrong, I was reading about doctors, I was reading their input from immunologists, I was reading input from virologists, people that have published in the New England Journal. So there's a lot of different things about that. And I had to learn to come to what was good for me. And in that, it was a very different thing of what was being held with the philosophies of those that I was living with that love me and think they know me, but they know me in a role model. They know me as a mom or they know me as a wife. They didn't know me for my true being. And I had to really go and find the information so I could then have that intelligent conversation with them and make my stand and say, you know, it's great that you believe that. And this is what I believe, and this is why I believe it. And they could pass judgment and say, well, you're wrong. And then my next conversation was, then we agree that we disagree. but I still love you and I respect you for where you are in your development. I just ask for that same reciprocity. And having that conversation in the house really diffused it so that when everything came up with the Black Lives Matter movement, I got schooled by my kids, you guys. My kids were the ones that said, Mom, you need to check out what white privilege is. I felt like my defenses went up from my programming from my past of what I was taught, had told me what white privilege was. But then when I felt like I was in a safe space and I could ask, well, what is really white privilege? Like, where do I go find that information? I was able to come to the realization that I really didn't know what the hell I was talking about. So I implore all of us to really just stand in our own empowerment, find our spiritual grounding so that we can then go out there and find the information, especially as business owners, as women business owners. How are we going to make this a part of our business? I've had some business owners say, I'm not ready to make a stand on anything. I've had other moms that I've seen say, in my house, everything's off conversation because I don't want all of the angst. I don't want all the fighting going on. So it's a matter of us speaking up and finding our truth and then teaching other women, because women are the nurturers, teaching them where to have those conversations. There are some men that are open. There are, I call them spiritual warriors. They are there to move the way to let us come out. And I honor that. And I really think that if we can all just practice the art of listening. Listening is smiling and nodding. It's not agreeing. It's allowing somebody the respect and the compassion. It's not about respect for me. It's more about compassion. When I'm respectful, I'm really analytical and I'm coming from my brain. I'm having a reaction. When I'm compassionate, I drop down into my heart and I'm having a response. And sometimes that response is, so let me see if I heard you correctly. And I mirror back exactly what I heard. And by doing that, that person understands that they were heard, but sometimes as they're talking it out, something is shifting for them. Molecularly, there's a synapses that's having another pathway, and it's saying, wait a minute, that doesn't work for us anymore because your thoughts become your reality. So your thoughts are there because they come from your beliefs. If your belief system no longer serves you, why are we as human beings thinking that we are dishonoring those that gave us that belief system? That's not true. That's an old programming. So I just want to ask you and invite you to be really playful right now in this time, because in that higher vibration of playfulness, you will expand your consciousness. You will start realizing that, oh, like everything that I was taught in Catholicism, it's not wrong, it's not right, it just doesn't serve me anymore. So I'm looking to things that are serving me. And it doesn't disregard the upbringing that my parents gave me or my grandparents. That's not where it's at. Or if they question me, well, you're giving up 4 generations of things that we've done it this way in our family. I'm not giving it up. I'm just choosing to step out of it for me. But I'm not giving it up. Because for them, it feels like I'm giving up on them. And it's really important that we really stay in our heart center and have compassion with these conversations and allow them. A lot of us don't know to have a conversation. We only come from a reaction from our emotion, which is a great vibration. Having an emotional attachment means there's something there that you're caring about. And so give them that space because you love them to explore what that emotion is all about. Because as they're expressing it, they can shift it just because you're holding space for it. It's a really beautiful thing when that happens. And I'm really thankful for everyone that's on the call today. I'm thankful to have this opportunity to have these conversations like this, because as I do, there's people that are in my home that are in the kitchen doing whatever, and they're hearing what I'm saying. So even though if I say it to them in their face, they might roll their eyes or do this, but if they're hearing it subconsciously as I'm connected with like-minded women, they're getting it on a different level.
They really, really are, Deb. They sure
Yeah.
are. And, you know, I have been trying to keep our coffee break conversations to a tight 30 minutes. Guess what, guys? We're heading up on the 60-minute mark. So this is a conversation that we probably do have to revisit. But in closing, I would love to just share with you what I believe to be true. This is not me saying to you that this has to be what you adopt as what is right for you. This is just me sharing that this is me. So I really, really am not here to change anybody's mind about anything. That is not my job. But I am here to stand unapologetically for what I believe to be true. And so that fear of having my voice be heard, Deb, you're going to be happy to hear this. I'm not afraid anymore. I'm not. I'm here for it. And I just invite spirit to guide my thoughts, to guide my words, and to guide my actions. But I am not afraid anymore. There was a time when I would never, ever, ever open my mouth and say that I have conversation with spirit. What? That's just crazy talk, right? Deb, you know what I'm talking about.
My God, trust me, a lot of the girls in this circle know me and have never heard me talk about how I get messages from spirit, like in the public, and they know it personally, but they don't know it like in a group setting. Like, yeah, I do. I get messages for people from the other side, and I'm unapologetically standing in my empowerment about it.
And so I'm okay with speaking my truth now. I am not afraid. For people who are interested in having conversation, I absolutely invite respectful discussion for those who invite me. And for those who don't invite me, that's fine too. All I have is compassion. That's it. There's nothing else. I am very concerned. I do have concern about what's going on right now. Guys, I have 2 small boys. One is 5. He is my angel. He's my everything. And he's also an empath at 5 years old. When I met him for the first time and I looked into his eyes, I felt like God was looking at me. I don't know how to explain this to anybody else. I've never felt it before looking at any other person in the world. When I looked at my baby, who's now 5, I felt like God was looking at me. It's sort of chilling in a way. I am concerned about him and what's going to be available for him when he grows up into this world. I tell people all the time, I experience racism every day. It's like a Tuesday, right? But I have concern about what's gonna be here for my little ones when they grow up. I joke all the time and I say, I'm not too concerned about my 10-year-old because he's planning to go work for NASA. He'll probably be in space, and so he'll probably not have to deal with it. But my 5-year-old, my little empath, I am really concerned about him. So I want to make sure that the world that we're creating for them, the world that we're going to be having for them to grow up into, is going to be a bit different. And I'd love for this to not just be a 21-day news cycle. I'd love for us to actually take this opportunity to raise the vibration and actually have something change in this world. That would mean everything to me. And I see that we can do this. And I think that where we have to start is actually see it as already done. I think it starts with our positive expectation. And if we can really feel like it's already done, then it is. But if we feel like it's impossible, guys, then guess what it is?
Yeah, one of my basic trainings way back when was with Mike Dooley. And that's one of the things he talks about is every day, start your day by doing a creative visualization, see your day unfold in front of you. That's how you create what's coming to you. If you don't do that, then what you're drawing to you is from your past, because that has a memory in your body.
And this speaks a lot to what Marianne teaches, because Marianne teaches about seeing your day, planning what you want to feel in every next moment. And I embrace that so closely. And I really I'm encouraging and inviting anybody who feels like that's right for them to really lead into that, because feeling like it's already done is, I feel like we're halfway there with that. I want to say something else. I want to talk about money. Money is energy, guys. That's all it is. It is an exchange of energy. And I would invite you to place your energy where you believe it can do the most good. And so if there are causes that you think would benefit from the support of your energy, cash is caring. I know it doesn't sound spiritual to talk about money, but money is just energy. That's all that it is. I invite you to not shrink from speaking your truth. I'm not telling you to go beat people over the head with what you believe, but nobody should stand in any doubt about where you stand, because I'm pretty sure nobody is in any doubt about where I stand on a whole lot of issues. And now all y'all know that I have conversations with spirits. So hey, I'm an open book to everybody as it stands. Yeah, I'm weird. It's fine. I invite us all to spend time in quiet contemplation, in meditation, because my dearest friend Einstein says, yes, I also have conversations with him. He says that you cannot get to the solution when you're stuck in the heart of the problem. It's just not possible. And so spending time to really meditate on what the answers really are, there's an opportunity there. And I have to talk to you white people. Hi guys. Here's the thing. Your voice matters. I'm just gonna tell you the truth. If both of us are standing and saying exactly the same thing, they're gonna listen to you before they listen to me. I didn't make the world. It's just how it is right now. And so it's important. You adding your voice to this, it's important. If you feel like adding your voice to this is where you want to be, then know that it's important. Does that make sense for you? All right. Don't want you to feel like I'm calling you out or anything like that, but stay connected to that higher vibration as much as you can. And I love the words like love and inclusion and justice and peace and equality and support and community. And I know it sounds like semantics, but the words that we're choosing matters, because words bring vibration. And it mightn't feel like the right time for it, but guys, laugh and have fun and try to find something to have some comfort in at this time, because in raising our vibrations, we're raising the whole, the vibration of the whole. So even if it's just a post on Facebook, or it's a conversation that you're having with somebody, or you're at a rally, how can we approach it in a sense of fun and wonder and hope and positive expectation? And the last thing I'll say before I let y'all go back to your lives is love and compassion. And that's why I thought the card that I pulled this morning was so on point, because being able to have that compassion for even the people that you feel are way over on the other side from where you are, even the ones that you're finding it difficult to feel that emotion for, you got to find it. Okay, I said I wasn't here to change hearts and minds, but you got to find it, that compassion. If you can't find that compassion, then how can you ask somebody else to be loved? It has to start here. It starts with me. And I'm so glad that you guys joined today. Thanks, Julia. I love you so much. Like, you don't even know. Kimmy, my heart. Leslie, I feel like we've become such good friends, and it's so great. And Liz, when I put the call out and I asked who wants to come on this call, these are like the 4 first people who said, I am in, count me in. And they texted me and they said, how can I contribute to this conversation? And I love you all. Marianne, Wendy Lee, all the way from Texas, both of you. Lynn, Hannah, oh my God, Hannah. The love, you just look at somebody and everybody just feels love. Carlene, you're always trying to help everybody. Kathy, you're amazing. Deb, you're gonna help me to even get better at embracing the side of me that I've been hiding for so long. And Jen, you are the embodiment of what love is in this world. And Audra, you're my new friend, but I feel like we've been friends forever. So I appreciate all of you being here. I appreciate all of you being a part of Ladies Lunch. I hope this was beneficial for you. And I invite us to keep the conversation going and also to keep the vibration high. And I'm just gonna leave you with that and say thank you, and we'll all talk soon. Bye, guys.
Love you guys. Bye.